Welcome back. The question we are doing now is, how did Ved's father deal with his son's blindness? Let's learn how. Ved is saying that I remember other little tests my mother put me through. But one day, she perceived that just before I arrived at a closed door, I would stop and reach for handle to open it. She began letting me go about the house by myself, and she discovered that I seldom ran into things. She used to shake her hand before me so that myriads of pores next to, below, and above my ears could feel her hand even when it was a foot away. The air crans helped me to spot it. As you see in the slide, although in my case there was an obstacle that seemed unsurmountable, father was determined to try everything. He read all available literature on blindness. He learned that almost all India's blind people had turned to begging for their livelihood or became owners of pan and bidi shops and spent their days rolling nuts and condiments in a betel leaf or tobacco and cigarette paper. And did all these things. There were no one who were doing higher education being a blind or achieving something. The replies were not optimistic for the blind educational facilities. And personnel were limited. And often the schools became semi-asylums with all ages grouped together in classes without any graduation system. There were no value of those classes because there was no proper system. My father still persevered, for he knew that my staying at home would result in my becoming a pampered child. He realized as well that I would have difficulty playing with normal children and that my mother would always be afraid to let me leave the immediate premises. Which would not let Ved open up. At last, he heard of Dr. R.M. Haldar, principal of Dadar School for Blind in Bombay. My father heard about him, so he wrote him asking for advice. And Dr. Haldar showed unusual interest in my case and promised to take special care and personal responsibility for me if I were sent to his school. He was a great person. When my mother learned of my father's decision to send me to Dadar school, she was appalled. She could not understand the reason for sending me 900 miles away from home to attend school with orphans or children of the poorest classes. Yet she placed her faith in my father's superior judgment, and in her quiet way, she agreed. And she had to accept it. And she agreed to let Ved go to Dadar school. As you see in the picture, this is Ved Mehta presently.